Raheem Kassam is executive editor for The Commentator and an expert in American history and politics. A little earlier, he told me that last night's results had been astounding.
If Newt Gingrich wins the Republican nomination, Barack Obama eases into the second term.
That's what some people would think, yourself, but not everybody.
Well, clearly, quite a few people think conversely. 40% of South Carolinians think so. But the reality is that Newt Gingrich, for as much as he's positing himself as this anti-establishment Republican, he has been the embodiment of the establishment. He is a known philanderer. He has this history that will come back to haunt him in a one-on-one with Barack Obama. His talking point is always that he's going to do great in the debate against Obama. That's fine, that's right, but it doesn't always come down to the debates. That's not what the presidency is made of.
But why then did he do so well in South Carolina, do you think?
Well, South Carolina is traditionally more socially conservative, and Newt Gingrich is sort of the best representative of that, bar Rick Santorum, who just didn't have the resources on the ground. He wasn't focused enough on South Carolina there. And what Rick Santorum is now about to do is actually start focusing on key other states rather than battling every state from here on out into Super Tuesday, which is March the 6th, which is going to be when the majority of states decide who they want as the candidate.
But South Carolina has always picked the eventual Republican candidate. That's true, isn't it?
Yeah, well, since 1980, they've always predicted correctly the non-incumbent Republican candidate. And that's a worrying thing for Mitt Romney. He's poured a lot of resources into South Carolina. He put a lot into Iowa, into New Hampshire, and he's only got one of those now that we know that Rick Santorum ended up taking Iowa. So Mitt Romney's chance now has to be to stop Newt Gingrich when it goes into Florida, because that's a winner-take-all state, and that's crucial.
You've said why Newt Gingrich did well in a sort of conservative state like South Carolina. Conversely, why is Mitt Romney struggling so much?
Well, Mitt Romney is sort of the everything and nothing candidate. He has said everything at some point in his career, and he also tends to say nothing in his stump speeches. It's sort of same old, same old. Newt Gingrich has recently had an influx of cash into his campaign, most notably by one gentleman, Sheldon Adelson, in the US, who has basically paid for Newt to put out these really harsh attack ads on Mitt Romney, talking about this vulture capitalism that Mitt Romney was involved with when he was at Bain Capital, stealing from people, laying people off. You know, when most people are still really concerned about the economy in the US, to hear about a vulture capitalist who's about to be president, well, you're going to tick another box. And Newt Gingrich capitalized on that, and they ended up ticking his box. And most people, most of Newt's voters who came from the middle ground, who came from the moderate ground, decided at the last hour that they were going to tick the Gingrich box. And that says a lot just about what voters are thinking at the moment. They're confused, and Newt is the confusion candidate.
And there's bound to be a lot more stuff coming out about the backgrounds of both the main contenders as we go along, especially, as you say, in view of Mr. Gingrich's own personal history.
Right, but it's nothing new. Voters know about this already, which makes you wonder, do they not care? You know, in a very socially conservative state, for him to do what he's done in the past and them to just sort of gloss over it and hand him 40% of the vote really makes you wonder, have they forgiven him already? And if they have, then Mitt Romney really has a problem on his hands, because he can no longer capitalize on those sort of faux pas in Newt's past. And Romney will really have to, you know, they're looking for the right candidate, and that's the right of Romney candidate. So he's really going to have to pull to the right a little bit if he wants to start winning these southern states.
Raheem Kassam speaking to me a little earlier about the results of that surprise primary in South Carolina. But there's a long way to go yet. Now then.